Well, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Zwift Community Live broadcast of the Zwift Racing League Season 3, race number 8, the final race out on the Surrey Hills. I'm Nathan Guerra. Anna Russell of the land of the whiteboards, actually coming from New Zealand with the fashion police in her tow. Argo is alongside of me, getting up very early, and I really appreciate that very much. But, this morning, watching in productions, these men and women were out on course for an hour and a half, hammering away. I mean, this course is brutal, absolutely brutal. It definitely is a finale type course, Anna, and we saw some great battles. We're going to be in with the North Division 1B men and the Division 1C women. We'll jump around a little bit to tell some stories as they develop as well, because we will have some of the standings throughout all of the categories in those two specific divisions. So we'll try and jump around a little bit, at least to give you guys ideas how things are playing out toward the end of this season for those other categories. But again, Anna, this course is very difficult, and really, I think, showed who's the strongest of the strongest in these categories.
Yeah, I mean, I thought first off we might have some team tactics, but really team tactics went a little bit out the window on the first couple of climbs when it was just so brutal. That what we saw, other than an awesome sort of sprint finish in the D category last night in APAC, was a lot of just solos in the first group of 5, just separated by 30 seconds a minute. So it is, to be honest, the strongest rider out there on the day will win this, because there's not a whole lot of benefit you're going to get from sitting in a pack, that's for sure.
Yeah, the only thing that we did see was huge amounts of benefit by making it over a climb with other individuals in order to close down the any gaps that have opened up. The intensity of those downhill descents matches the intensity of the uphill as far as the advantage that you can gain on them. We also saw that anvil, you had mentioned it quite a few times, and I think it is a pretty big deal on the downhills, a lot bigger deal than, and I haven't really used the anvil a lot. I haven't seen, it's one power up I don't have a big opinion on, actually, because I just haven't had a whole lot of interaction with it. Now seeing it on these sharp descents, especially with that D category rider we saw late in the stream last night, and how quickly he picked up an extra 20 kilometers per hour, it looked like, that was pretty intense.
Yeah, and I think it lasts 30 seconds, so it's a good one. Also, what I liked was the combination of super tuck anvil. So if you've slightly dropped off the pack at the top of a climb, you pick up the anvil over that banner, then yeah, definitely use it on the steep parts of the climb. It's basically a reverse feather, but lasts a bit longer. So yeah, I did like seeing out there. It's not as controversial as, say, we've seen from the steamroller, but it does make a difference if you're trying to catch back on. Don't think you'll use it as a break, though. Don't think you'll be able to get away with it.
Yeah, make it very tough. I guess if you were with one other rider, perhaps, the anvil is going to be a big deal there. But in a larger group, the group's probably an anvil in and of itself. Now, a bunch of anvils used in succession of each other, because a lot of times we just saw people using them all at the same time, which if you're drafting on an individual on the downhill, it's probably not going to be that big of a deal using them all at the same time. But if you're using them in succession, I could see this kind of multiplied snowball effect happening over and over again. So that could get really interesting as well if we did see that. But we're going to jump right on in with the women. They have started their first climb out on course here. And we'll go ahead and take a look at the reality of this course as well in the lower left-hand corner. Let's go ahead and bring that right on in. And the first climb on the day, they're taking on, is that going to be Fox Hill right from the get-go here, Anna? Is that what's and then on over to Leith Hill? I mean, this is a sharp, intense climb going up the opposite side of Box Hill. We're in with Carissa Min, actually, from TFC Storm, following up Hootsie from the RWBSH team, and then it's going to be the Giselles just ahead. This is going to be 35th place currently. There is plenty of riders here up the road. Big shout out to TFC Storm, though. And Carissa Min and the RWBSH team KC3 here on the chase. No woman's land with Bella Velo also. I mean, I think this is kind of the name of the game today, is try and find your rhythm, find your pack that you're going to be able to hang with, and set that tempo without blowing up, because it can be a long day if you go into nuclear mode.
Oh, I mean, we saw a lot of comments popping up on screen in the APAC division of people just saying, this is horrible. If you get dropped on this first climb, there is a long lot of racing to go. I mean, this is the CCAT, so it's a little bit shorter at 37K. They do finish after the Leith Hill descent. So there's a couple of bridges at the bottom, and they finish just on the second bridge, end of the second bridge. So potentially the anvil in the C and D category could prove good, like we saw in APAC, to have a little bit of a catch-up to a rider ahead, or even almost use it as a launch to the sprint where it slightly flattens off at the bottom if you've got a few people with you. But let's see what happens in this racing, because what we have seen so far is you'll have a strong dominant rider who sort of, as you can see here from Estop from BZR Bullets, they'll push the pace and then sort of see what their strengths are, and then you'll see in the next climb they really start to pull away, is what we've seen, and we are seeing a lot of strung out riders here.
Yeah, and you can see the Bullets here really on the attack. Let's get an idea, if we can, of what the current standings are and why they'd be doing this. I mean, obviously, just trying to take the win on the day is always something people are going to be looking to go at after, but there's also the reality of what may be happening in the standings, that they may be after something special out here today. And according to the current standings, see if we can bring these on in for everybody here. And it looks like it is going to be Herd of Gentoo Penguins. We're going to have to get all of the images out here today of exactly what these characters are. But the Penguins, and then the Belgian Zwift Riders, Bullets too, this is exactly why they're on the attack early, because I don't see any Penguins too close. Chelsea, the first one out here that is anywhere near. The Bullets might be up to something here, sending one rider up the road. Is there any other Bullets, though? We do see Verhoeven. Now, this is the cool thing about a longer course like this. If you do get in with a good pack and somebody tries to break things apart, we did see a lot of riders come back early on, right? So, I mean, come back later on. After early attacks, we did see Well, I wouldn't say a lot, but we did see one or two situations where riders were able to bring things back. And I also think that early on, these attacks, they may be going super hard, getting these early points. But saw in the women's race this morning, the rider who did take this first Fox Hill ended up way back in like somewhere between 5th to 10th place, actually. So these early points, they're good to grab. At the same time, it may be an early blow up and just grab these first fastest segment points or any of the points that might be up for grabs and then end up fading backwards. So lots to play out. It isn't just said and done after the first two climbs. Looking through here, I believe we do have, it looks like Bullet's going to be taking second place across here. Ridgeway, it looks like, then going to be the first for Bella Velo here. Johansson here from Team Fearless now across the line, followed up by Thomas from TFC Storm. It's going to be Chelsea from the Gentoo Penguins, the first one across the line for the current leaders. Just almost going to be Nip. No, BRT going to be second across that line, followed up by the KRT team as well. Hardy is here now, coming out of Ireland with the Ireland SH2. I'm going to see if we can get some info on the SH there. It's going to be Serrano Hams, of course. Serrano Hams. Here's an early anvil. Now, not sure that the anvil there was used at exactly the right time. Maybe unfamiliarity. Like, what is this gigantic piece of stone that I just got? Because this is on an uphill gradient, actually, here for Gerhardi. So Gerhardi there, perhaps unaware of what the anvil is going to be doing for her. It's 30 seconds here at a higher weight, probably in order to close down any kind of gaps at this point that would have been best used on the sharp downhill descent instead. Gallagher, not a teammate, coming from actually a team that is the same brand of team, obviously, with the Serrano Hams, but not on the exact same, as we do see C1, and there is a C2 in amongst this top 10. So looking through that a little ways further back here, it's going to be BRT and KRT with Trinell and Held working together for a top 10. And then Sandra, this is the use of the anvil that we were talking about now. Sandra, now easily bringing it back at 63 kilometers per hour as these two work just to get 57. This is what we are talking about. The strength of the anvil comes flying by at 66. Look at the rest of that group here behind as well. Anna, that was, I mean, proof is in the pudding. You just saw right there in front of us what it tastes like to have an anvil come flying by.
Oh, exactly. That was a great use of it. I think it almost, you could feel she had a lot of fun just laying that anvil down, coming past the group. I mean, the group will more than likely catch up. They've got those group dynamics, but that was awesome. I mean, back of the group, shot through, coming through the front of the group now. Only 3 seconds behind Gallagher. So nice little move. Here comes the pack. So they'll probably pull things back together. But yeah, that was cool to see. I like that one.
Now, with a larger group like this is what we were talking about earlier. It was that the reality is these sharp descents and lots of good anvil use, it can easily bring back some of these packs, and if we don't see some sort of crazy 5-5, amazing out of this world TT effort off the front, I do have a feeling that some of these categories may have a little bit different race than what we saw in APAC, where we do see these groups get together and able to bring back lots of time on these sharp descents. Whereas I think there was a lot of disparity perhaps at the top end of the climbers in the APAC men specifically. In the women as well, there was maybe a little bit more disparity in what we covered. If there's a lot of parity in this C division, which EMEA tends to pull a lot of parity, we may actually see these groups bring things back specifically because of these sharp descents, adding those anvil speed, because speed is still king. It is. We may see a little bit different race play out here, Anna.
Yeah, I'm liking this actually. It's a little bit different to what we've seen already. And I think you're right, Nathan. When you're looking at the C category, people are more likely, from what it looks like already, to sort of stay together in a group. I think people haven't really, pushed too hard up that first climb. Maybe they're a little bit worried about the distance and elevation involved in the race. I mean, it's still pretty long, even for the CCAT. It's still 37 kilometers. I mean, that's a lot of racing and a lot of elevation. So they will probably stay together, which means we could be in for quite an interesting downhill finish, which we don't often get to see in
because it's
Zwift.
C
A finish line in
category.
the
Good
downhill.
call. Good call. Because
Yeah.
it's C category, and that is good. We have the invisible finish line for the C category. So that'll be very interesting. It's gonna be fun to see how that ends up playing out between these ladies here, trying to chase down some of the TFC Storm up ahead. It is being led up by Cassandra and McQueen, held now to the front, and then Miller from Lady M and Bella Vilo. Thomas and TFC Store leading things out up ahead. Let's go ahead and head to the front end of this group. It is 4 riders on the breakaway, but actually no, 4 riders on the chase, excuse me, as still Ridgeway off the front and looking to try and pull off. And she actually went across the top of Fox Hill solo with just a couple of seconds, but now opened up a gap actually. And perhaps I was incorrect because it looks like we've got somebody just looking to try and pull off a solo TT, but BZR Bullets too, trying to bring this back. 4.5 watts per kilogram in a C category. Can she hold on to that?
Yeah.
Is this going way over effort here? Either one situation we may be doing the you get an upgrade, everybody gets an upgrade situation, or perhaps she is way over effort at this point, and the BZR Bullets may be trying to bring that back. And the interesting thing here is there isn't going to be any infighting here, is there? We've got Gentoo, Fearless, Storm, and Bullets, all from separate teams. All they care about is bringing back Bella Vilo. Nobody is going to just let her sit off the front. They all have the motivation to bring her back.
Yeah, but her lead is going out very fast. 22 seconds already, 4.5 watts a kg in the CCAT. I mean, this is insane watts really there. And I'm not sure they'll be able to pull this back, to be honest, if she can keep this up for the rest of the climb. But if you see in the top right-hand corner with the map there, their little orange dot is the rider we're following at the moment. They've got a lot of climbing left to go on Leith Hill. And Leith is a little bit horrible in that the QOM line doesn't actually start until a couple of K into this uphill. So kind of flattens off a little bit. It's a bit of a tricky climb. It's sort of at this 4% grade for quite a while. And you can just see in that last 800 meters really kicks up to the line. So yeah, this is what we're seeing here with the map. Leith is the pink part of the climb. So they'll just
right there as they
little wiggly worm.
So they're actually on that section right there before the pink. And so, but the climb actually starts all the way at the bottom there. So it doesn't actually reward you for the time up it. Like in the KOM or the Queen of the Mountain segment, it actually doesn't tell you what that pink segment, it tells you only what that pink segment is, not from the actual when the gradient starts going up. So interesting, but it is a much longer climb actually than Keith as far as the total distance, but Keith is sharp. But when you look at the graphic, though, if we go ahead and bring in this graphic, it doesn't tell you that on the graphic because it only measures 1.9, but that's not true. It's actually all the way from, well, I guess it's true for the segment if we're going to, proper. And that's probably because in real life, that's what Leith Hill is just that segment. But you really start climbing from the very bottom section.
Exactly. So it's a bit unfair to the riders here. They've been climbing a while and yet they've still got to pick up the speed if they want that fastest time segment only through where it's timed. So only through where they pass that little pink.
Point. So what if Anna, that they're pulling, what if these riders are waiting to try and get the fastest through segment? Like they're like, oh, we're just going to wait, sit in, and then go boom and hammer as hard as they can once they cross that banner.
That's what I would do. I'd be sitting in a bunch. You can still draft at this 3%, goes down to 2% in parts. Just draft along here, and then as soon as you see those pink lines on the road, boom, go get it. Go get that fastest time segment. Because Ridgeway still pushing up over 4 watts a kg. She'll be tiring. It looks like she's just settled into a pace. Not sure she will get fastest time segment, but we'll see what happens in that group that's chasing. Now 35 seconds back, and it looks like 2 have dropped off the back there. Johansson from Fearless and Thomas from TFC Storm have just dropped off. So you've got 2 packs behind with 2 riders in each. So unfortunate for them. That's going to be pretty hard rest of the race if it's just 2x2s.
Oh, and I might have been wrong. I might have been wrong, Anna. Are you calling it? Are you making the early call again too? We'll see.
No.
But I mean, I was hoping for a little bit more parity. We'll see what happens. We actually have Chris Russo, and little did you know, this is actually a relative of mine jumping in, just getting out on Zwift.
Oh.
Great to see him jumping into chat over at YouTube. Asking real quickly here, what is the Anvil? And he's actually thinking about getting out on Zwift here pretty soon, I hear. So that's pretty cool to see. What was that Anvil? Well, for those of you that do not know, Anvil is a newer power-up, Anna, that was released a little over a year ago. I want to say, and a newer addition to the power-ups that you can grab. Obviously there is the feather power-up. You've got the drafting power-up. You've got the arrow power-up. You've got steamroller was one of the newer additions that came alongside with when the Anvil was released. But they aren't always put into the events because the events don't always have a time to use them best. When you have a whole bunch of power-ups across the board that don't really do much for the specific course, it's just kind of a waste of space. And like people, when you roll for it, you go, oh, great. Now I got something that doesn't really useful. So what's really cool with the ZRL and WTRL is that they have selected specific power-ups for specific courses to be used on courses that only make sense for them. So today, Anna, we've got very specific power-ups for this course.
Yeah, and I like that because on a course like today, you may not really use the aero power up, say. So you've got Anvil, Truck, and Feather. So I think they are picking really good power ups for each course. There's a lot of thought being going into these courses and the races. So I like that. I mean, if I was to geek out a little bit on the Anvil, I know that the Feather power up used to be that they dropped a certain weight. And now that would obviously advantage the lighter riders disproportionately. So then they changed it to just a percentage of the weight. I wonder if they did the same with Anvil because we haven't seen it so much in games. So if it's just a weight number, then a light rider is going to have huge benefit from that going downhill as opposed to a heavier rider where it's just a smaller percentage. So interesting one there. I'm not sure if anyone knows the answer to that, but that's the only kind of question I had on the Anvil, whether it was a proportion of weight or actual weight.
Yeah, it's a good question. I'm going to see if I can get exactly what it was, because I did get this information at one point, and that's totally on my memory for not having exactly what the total. I believe at one point it was a set number, and I believe they may have changed it actually to go to a percentage because did that come now? I'm looking though, and it looks like the Feather and the Burrito were the ones that got that kind of an update, and that the Anvil may have just stayed at a set number. I bet you that the Twitch chat is probably telling me it knows exactly what's going on, being the gamers that they are. Come on, Twitch chat, let us know. As they usually, perhaps maybe Martin will bring in the info as well. I bet you he's Googling around a little bit for us as well. Now, as you were saying here, look at this. She has opened up the gap still almost out to a minute at this point. Ridgeway is absolutely dominating this course right now for Bellavilo. Now, when it comes to the overall standings for the Bellavilo team, what's going to be interesting is that they are all the way down in sixth place at 100 points. So this is going to be a really big pickup for them on the day. Fearsome 103, TFC Storm 113, and BRT Candy Kittens. I think the battle between the Candy Kittens and TFC Storm is still a reality on the day for sure. The battle between Belgian Zwift Riders and Herd of Gentoo Penguins is also a reality because I don't see a whole lot of Gentoo in that top 20 even. I mean, we've got, we do have the one rider, as you can see, a little ways down here from Gentoo and Chelsea in third place. So that'll be a big pickup. But outside of that, if they're not stacking this top 20, they're going to really struggle to hold on. And Belgians with Riders, I do believe, looking through though, BZR, where's the rest of that's the weird thing today is like, did they just not show up thinking, well, we can just cruise? Hendricks, I think, along with Verhoeven, they're the next ones. They may be marking each other. That might be the thing as well here because look, top 20 here. Now we see a bunch of BZR bullets right next to some Gentoo Penguins.
Yeah, exactly. I think, yeah, when it comes into this last race, this is where you see aggressors and then you see defenders. So you see teams who are, leading, like we see the herd of Gentoo Penguins, the Belgian Zwift riders. They really only care about each other. So this is what makes this last race so exciting, because then you have the people who just go off the front. They're not on a team that's in the lead. So they're like, who cares? Let's just go absolutely full noise. We've got nothing to lose. Put out a big performance, last race of the season. So yeah, that's what's made this one so interesting. There's no sort of conservatism in some groups, but then in others, there's massive conservative riding, like we're seeing here with this pack that's 20th down the road. Little attack there off the front, actually, by Dominique, is it, from KC? Just pushing up a little bit there. So has decided to attack leading into the steep portion of the climb. 2% grade now, but it does kick up very quickly into that 12 to 14%. This group looks like they know what she's on about, though, and they've caught up pretty quick. Oh, there's a Gentoo Penguin.
Yeah, it looks like we've got the Gentoos here. So those are wondering what exactly the herd. I absolutely love herd because they give us the opportunity to check out the animal kingdom on stream and see what's happening with exactly. This is what these avatars are all about. This is their spirit animal, the Gentoo penguin, and I love how these two are waddling along together. Actually, this is them, Emily and DJV, coming out of the Netherlands right now. Solid group here. It is splitting a little bit here at this point. As that push on off the front there, coming from that KC, the bees. I don't know if they're the angry bees. We're actually looking at Kirchmer Erie Bees is what we're looking at actually for them at 91 points. And I think what may be happening as well with the KC attack here is they do see that they are being marked by KRT, or they're marking KRT actually, because we have Broke off the front out of the Netherlands. And the reality is between these two is 3 points. So Kirchmer needs to follow every single move here coming from the KRT team, because that 3 points is the reality between 7th and 8th place in this overall.
Yeah, this is, so I was just looking, I got James Bailey, actually, one of the herd racing team's managers or owners or founders, actually sent me a bunch of info about herd last night after the stream. Started racing and were formed in December 2018. So that's quite some time ago now, almost 3 years. They've just got a new kitten game, which I was commenting on last night. And yeah, they're racing pretty well. I think the benefit that herd has, because we don't see them up the front. And I think sometimes we forget that there's whole groups of riders, in these midway packs. The benefit herd has is I think they're almost always fielding a team of 6, and that just has huge benefit, just points all the way down. So this is probably where you see the teams who can have the sort of biggest roster tend to do the best, even though there are certain riders who go off the front and win a race, but maybe they just have, one other teammate out there racing. So good job, Herd. They've got a huge following, and my dad actually rides in their group ride, so very welcoming. And yeah, I think they've just played a strategy here of just having a lot of riders, a lot of bums on seats, getting the points, even if they're not out there at the front.
Definitely. And, one thing to highlight there also when it comes to the racing that we have with WTRL and the Zwift Racing League is that everybody is able to play a role in the team. And that was one of the main things that came out of the TTT and the things that was realized in the team time trial, and then also became realized in the team point structure and the way that riding for a team in the ZRL and being a part of that team and being able to have an impact on the overall race result, not just first across the line, is that what really is highlighted in this series is the teams. Individuals do not win the series. And so showing up and racing and being able to add some value from all the way down from first place all the way through 30th plus is a huge thing for why this has been so incredibly successful. So that's a great point to bring out, Anna, is that each one of these team members for this team are watching and marking each other because the points do go all the way down to 30th place. So absolutely what huge kudos to that realization as to how gaming and esports is working with the Zwift world and cycling, and really bringing something out that you don't necessarily always see in real life cycling. A lot of times in real life cycling really is who won on the day, right? And that's why cycling is such a difficult sport, is that, wins come far and few, and it's the very top that gets the most notice. But when it's about the teams here, you do have, and that's the kind of cool thing is we'll be able to, in the broadcast here, is to highlight the first across the line as well as how the team did on the day. And it's something that I've really enjoyed about ZRL and what WTRL is doing.
Yeah, I mean, this came to the forefront for me when I decided to go out and race the Champs-Élysées course and was battling away for 50th place, and realized I was still battling for 50th. I was still looking at the teams around me going, oh, the more people I can beat here, the more points we'll get. So it's great because even if you're not in that top 10, getting the intermediaries, you've still got heaps of finish line points you can get at the end, and it keeps the motivation high, especially on a course like this one where it could be a little bit demoralizing if you've been dropped on that first climb. There's a lot of riding to go, but I'll tell you, Nathan, there's a lot of camaraderie in those back groups. It's been quite a lot of fun as my pregnancy makes me a little bit slower each week to hang with the people at the back.
Carrying 2 up the climbs. I mean, you got to get some extra power here coming through from the tandem now at this point. The little one needs to bring a little bit of extra power. Come on. Where's the power here coming from? You're taking all my carbs. Like, why don't you use them here, little one? Let's go. No.
Exactly.
4 seconds back here now at this point. It looks like BZR Bullets on the attack, or at least making sure that the points are grabbed here across the line for the Belgian Zwift riders. Now, the men are out on course. We have missed a little bit of the climb here for Fox Hill, actually. We're going to go ahead and jump on over to their the back end of the pack as they are finishing up the climb. Back in 30th place is going to be Z-Sun, 2 guys as well. Moving forward, I mean, this is a strong out pack. We may be able to find first place before they do cross the line here on Fox, as they're just 4.4 kilometers in. It's actually going to be D. Jones here coming from the Z-Sun team in this B. 17 seconds up, similar to what we saw earlier with the attack off the front from BZR, but was actually shut down in the women's race and closed down by the Bella Velo team. But I don't think that's happening here. D. Jones is going to grab this one. Christian from the Dirt team coming out of Germany looking to shut that down with one on his wheel. It's going to be RWB with Thompson and Z-Sun also trying to come across. Looks like a little bit larger pack than we saw in the women's. Maybe going to form here, depending on how much energy is in the tank. Going to see a lot of sprints for the line, it looks like.
Yeah, and it's Jones. He's got 11 seconds. If he gets an anvil over the top here and can take some speed in a super tuck, the groups behind are there is one group at 16 seconds back, but the other 2 just behind him are split from that pack, so there won't be a huge pack dynamic chasing him down. So it'll be interesting to see what Jones can pull off on this downhill. Is this an early attack to go for the win? I mean, no, he seems to be relaxing. Jones is definitely chilling out now. So I think that was purely to get fastest time segment and first across line on that first time up Fox, and looks as though he may just relax now. 9 seconds back. So that was well played. I think Z-Sun, they always come with good tactics. I've seen that in so much racing. Z-Sun, whether it's a sprinting race or climbing, they seem to have specific riders suited to different parts of the course. And you can see there they are leading this field and actually tied with Dirty Beasts Alligators. So that's going to be a story to watch in this race. Looks like he's trying to get in the super tuck, but not quite getting there at a -2% grade.
What's going on at 39 kilometers per hour, buddy? You got to get to 57. I mean, he might be waiting. I think he's like, I'm not wasting inner energy here, and just waiting for that pack, actually. Here comes an anvil. Edmondson, 60. Now there's a lot of anvils being dropped, actually. This pack is going to be flying. Woo.
Joe needs to watch out here. He could get dropped off the back with these guys coming through at
power
pace.
up.
He's dropped that draft. Could be good. Yeah, real dangerous time now for him if he doesn't pick up that pace a little bit.
Lots of drafts, lots of anvils being dropped here. Davies HDR, look at all these anvils. I'm loving the anvil, actually. Now, there isn't any coordination here. I would have been waiting to use my anvil at this point. As soon as I saw somebody else pop one, I would have been like, all right, I'm going to go ahead and wait and try and because if they would have used them in succession, now it's not like they're communicating; they're on different teams from each other. I'm not seeing a single jersey here that's the same, so it's not like they're in the same Discord channel saying, "Hey, I'll use mine here, I'll use mine here, I'll use mine here." But if one or two would have waited, I think it would have been easier to bring back that 4 seconds to the league group up here. This is going to come back, I believe, and I think we are going to have a front group of 12 riders. It is 9 seconds back here to race 3R as well as TBR 48 Tooth and a few other, looks like solo off the back. It's going to be Dunwoody trying to get back 73 kilometers per hour with that anvil. You can see just how strong that is as it's almost a full 10 kilometers per hour. Look at that. That thing is so powerful. It's amazing how crazy that is. And look at the pack behind as well. 68 kilometers per hour. I mean, it really changes things up.
Yeah, I love this. I mean, how often do we see power-ups being dropped on a downhill? No power-ups usually get dropped on a downhill. It's just kind of jump in the super tuck and, bunch up and let's go. But this is making it interesting. I like it. And it also gives a chance to the riders who may have just been, dropped off the back a little bit on the climb, but are maybe a bit heavier to just really pick up the pace. I mean, what was that? About 10 kilometers an hour faster with that anvil? I mean, yeah, they can get back on. So I'm liking that. And 30 seconds. So you do have a good chance to really, really catch up to these groups in front. So yeah, liking how this is playing out. This group is going to be quite interesting to watch because we've got a couple of groups on the road. The next group is looking like they could be about to start their second climb, which is up that Leith climb. We've seen the women go up, which is, starts off nice and steady and then really kicks up at the end. But this will be an interesting one. I'm loving the fact we've got a tie at the top between Z-Sun and Team Dirt, the Dirty Beast Alligators, because that's just really going to spice things up. And Will Herd and the Pacing Palominos, there's a little animal pick for you, Nathan. They're 9 points back. Will they get in the mix a little bit, sort of shake things up? They've got a couple of riders here that we can see.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting here for sure. Now, this is a shout out to this. We covered this category once before in this season, I believe, because or perhaps they jumped into the WTRL TTT because Z-Sun, not Z-Sun, that is the team that changed up how Dave and I were actually saying Z's son. Let us know exactly the way. Now, I do believe there was a little bit of infighting, though, within the team as well, perhaps, to say, well, hold on a minute. For those of us that are over the pond, perhaps it's still Z-Sun, but they definitely let us know within this category that it is Z-Sun in the EMEA. Since it is Europe, Middle Eastern Africa, it makes a little bit more sense for sure. I can see why. So I absolutely love the way that they were calling us out, specifically in the team name for the broadcast, how you're going to be saying Z-Sun. So battle here between the Alligators and them. We'll try and get an idea of where they stand out on course. It is going to be off the front. Z-Sun have had one rider off the front with... did Thompson fall off pace? No, he's still here. Actually, they've packed this front group a little bit. I'm seeing at least 3 riders here coming in from that Z-Sun team. Mo is in here as well as Jones, D. Jones, and then it is going to be Thompson. So 3 riders versus the Dirty Alligators. And the Alligators here, we'd be looking for
2.
Christian. Is it just 2?
Just looks like 2, yeah. Just one at the back and one nearish the front. I just saw a kit there wedged between 2 green jerseys with the blue hats at a third wheel. Potentially. Is that a dirt rider?
Here. That is definitely a dirt rider. Martin for now. Why is it the BA? Beasts Alligators. That's what it is. Beasts Alligators. That's why. So you're looking for the BA. I thought it was just saying they're BA. They are bad. Martin now. Now it's going to be HDR to the front. HDR Cheesecake Brigade on the attack. Loving the names here coming through. And it's going to be 109 points for them currently as they look to try and break any of the RWB riders that are most likely marking them because the difference is only 5 points between the HDR Cheesecake Brigade and the Emerald Flyers from RWB.
Yeah, now I've got a controversial one for you, Nathan. I was thinking about it last night as I was trying to chill out before I went to sleep, is the Tron. Now, in Prem Division, you're not allowed to race with the Tron. I think maybe for unfair advantages or some other reason, I'm not sure. But The part of the game I really like is going through, trawling through Zwift Insider, looking at all the matrices on fastest wheel bike combinations, what's good on hills, what's good on flat, what's good on sprint, what's good on rolling. But every time we come on, 80% of the bikes are Trons. Now, should we outlaw them in community?
No way.
Make
no
it.
way. Well, here's the thing: is I think, in my opinion, I'm of the opinion that Tron should just be open no matter what. It's a feature that's in game. It's not the fastest bike. So if you're able to use other bikes that aren't Tron bikes still, right? So let's say you earn enough drops to have the tarmac with Mellensteins, right? It's the fastest climbing bike that we, or Manda or whatever it might be. Or you earn the Venge with the 858s. It's the fastest sprinter or TTT bike. What does the Tron have to do with an unfair advantage at that point? It just doesn't they earned it with drops. There's a difference because you have to earn it with climbing. Across the board, it just doesn't make any sense to me. It's a feature in the game. If you're allowed to earn other bikes, then the principle is earning bikes. That's the root principle we're talking about here. So what unfair advantage is there? There just isn't any. So we just have something against glowing wheels. Then it seems like to me. Like what? What's the difference at that point? The wheels glow. Okay. So I don't think it should be banned at all. No way. I think that it should be open across all of the categories. And I think looking cool may be a very attractive thing as well. And regardless of what might be fastest, there's also reality that Zwift Insider, a lot of people go to Zwift Insider for a lot of things. The way that and they do an amazing job with their tests. Their tests, though, are done at a set wattage. Go on a course, and that's it. They are not dynamic tests. They're not dynamic tests where you do a race situation. They also do not take into. It's not like the test is done in a pack either. And so if you get away and you're alone, it's the fastest all-arounder, right? It doesn't test what the algorithm does for which one drafts better, which one actually sits in and gets more speed advantage from a drafting situation, which one. There's a lot of different numbers playing around here that, which bike that you talked about earlier on this course, I think the winning moves are going to be on very sharp uphill climbs. I might actually pick Mellensteins with the Amanda, on the Amanda or on a tarmac, actually, on the S-Works, because I think that the place where I'm going to win this race or stick with a rider is going to be where things are lightest. Sure, overall, if you're riding solo, the Trons might be the best on this course, but that's just if you're stuck at 300 watts all day long for a test. So, there's a lot more to it. The bike racing's way more dynamic, actually, when it comes to, and I've always said that when it comes to power measurements and all of these different things when it comes to racing, specifically in the Zwift world, is that it's way more dynamic, split second, moment to moment, as to how a bike race is won and how the speed is created out there. And it's not as simple as I produced 4.5 watts per kilogram for 5 minutes and that should do this, so. Yeah, anyways, there's my little rant on that topic that I totally went into a bunny trail about.
I like it though. Okay. So we'll keep the Trons. But I would suggest to riders out there to take what Nathan has said on board and maybe try and pick a wheel bike combination for certain parts of the course you think you'll do well in. So if I was racing this course, I'd be looking, if I'm an A-B rider, at that second time up Fox Hill. Pretty steep, pretty sharp to be wanting to put in quite an effort. I think personally I would have gone for the Specialized Venge I think Tarmac with some faster wheels like the Zip 454s. So the Zips can help me in the pack when we're on the downhills and the flats, but then that Tarmac Pro on that climb, super light and just absolutely drill that climb. So that's the kind of setup I'd go with. Also depends on what kind of rider you are or what your role in the team is. So if your role in the team here is to help people stay in touch on the downhills and the flats, then you could definitely go for like a Venge and then add some pretty deep.
we may have lost Anna for just a moment there. I do know that she has had a little bit of struggle today with her router, but she had great points there coming on through for her. And she's probably she might just be trying to grab her whiteboard at this moment, maybe resetting her router as well. As we look to bring in, it does look like we've got a lot of herd fans out there today. Good to see Dan Pedroza jumping on in here as well with cheering on the Palominos. Let's go ahead and bring in exactly what kind of animal we are talking about here. These are some, I mean, this has got to be one of the most beautiful horses on the planet Earth, that's for sure. And great name to be naming your team after, that's for sure. I mean, I was looking through some of the pictures here, and the Palomino is pretty amazing when it comes to the horses that I've seen. Absolutely beautiful. Really cool to see herd as always in all the ways that they bring their spirit animals to this racing world. They are just about to start the climb proper for their second go at climbing out here today. This is going to be Leith Hill, Category 4. They'll be doing this for 1.9 more climbers. They really do start this climb a little bit earlier than that, though. It's going to be a 6.8% gradient as it does really kick up on the back end of this climb to have to take on. It is a much larger group here, as we do have, I believe, about 12 riders I want to see in this front running group. It is going to be the Dirt Beast Alligators here with Zed Sun, TBR 48 Tooth still involved. HDR is in here with the Cheesecake Brigade. Goat is there as well for them. RWB still involved. On the attack, it is going to be Edmondson from RWB with Z-Sun right on the wheel. Again, we'll try and keep an eye on how things are playing out with the overalls between them as well in the standings. Let's go ahead and jump back on over to the women, though, and see how things are as we do see the early attacks on this climb. We are going to be in with number 1 and actually the Chase group is who we're going to jump on in with in this C category for the women. They have started their climb up and over the top of Box Hill. Now, why are they on Box Hill? Might be a question that's coming through from a few of the viewers out there. We didn't see it in the named climbs. No, it's just a climb, as Anna put it earlier in the APAC, that they have to do for nothing, Anna. they don't really get a whole lot for it out there. Welcome back, Anna. Good to see you back in here. Your router must be not liking the climbs out here either. Needs to find a power up out there today.
Yeah, it's struggling up these climbs today, unfortunately. But this Box Hill one is really brutal because they start a little bit after where the time segment is, so they lose out on this actually being a time segment. So it's sort of, I'd call it, okay, I'll say it in a more positive frame compared to how I said it last night. It's a bonus climb. So you just get to go climb. You're not going to get any points, but go enjoy the scenery in this 5 to 7% gradient.
Box Hill is so tough too. It is a hard climb. I mean, they're all difficult. They are all. It's not like anyone. They're all their own personality that you have to take on in a way. You take on Leith from that bottom to top, and really you're thinking, oh, the climb's a little ways out. I haven't hit the banner yet, and the reality is, no, it's definitely very, very much a climb from bottom to top there. And when you actually see the banner, you're already up into your 170, 180 threshold effort. And then Box Hill, it's a little shorter, more bottom to top, full gas. For the men's A's, usually around a 6 to 7 minute climb. I think with the women's C's, maybe a 7 to 8 minute climb they're going to be taking on. Keith Hill, as you can see, very, very sharp, comes at you very quickly, that they'll be taking on next. And the thing is the way that they come down Fox Hill, as Bellavilo is actually already over the top of Box here. It comes at you very quickly, actually, as you take the left-hand turn right on over to Keith almost immediately.
Yeah, and this part of where Ridgeway is riding right now, we're going up a very, very steep 10% grade. Now, when we follow the men's race, they'll be finishing reverse over here. So this is Fox Climb in reverse. So keep that in mind, because this steep little up will actually be a steep down towards the finish line for that B category men, just to keep in mind. Great time to drop an anvil if you're putting in a late sprint. But Ridgeway here, almost 2 minutes ahead. I mean, she could just basically cruise up Leith Hill, although we did see in the race yesterday that someone did come through on that last Fox Hill, massively pushing the pace. So 2 minutes, though, I think she's pretty comfortable, unless anyone's really saving energy, which I doubt, because you can't really save energy on these climbs. Looks like Chelsea and Estot are coming through over the top, with Gertie and Johansson, the group behind. So these two riding well together. I think this will be a nice little battle if they can stay together on this downhill and head in. They've got a little bit of sort of rolling flat through Richmond Park before they head up Keith. And then, yeah, the interesting sort of downhill finish, which we don't often see, which has been a good one, especially with groups. And you've got an anvil. I'd be almost, if I'm in that chase group we can see on the road where there's sort of about 4 or 5 riders, I'd be saving those anvils for the end now.
This just split, actually. It was a little bit larger, and it looks like the Ireland the Serrano Hams, too, did put the attack on here, with Johansson from Fearless there trying to come across. There's going to be the RWB Serrano Hams 1 trying to hang on as well. Held from BRT just barely. Oh, able to grab back onto the wheels here. Good to see the fight there coming from the BRT Candy Kittens. And that is going to be a good move here, because TFC Storm is behind at this point with Thomas, and she is going to be their last hope to take down BRT at this point, because BRT are currently sitting in 3rd place overall ahead of them. As you can see here, looking at the overalls, TFC Storm 113, BRT Candy Kittens holding on to that spot for them at this point in that top. Well, that's a podium spot. That's the 118. That's what is going on?
Why?
Oh no!
Oh no! Terrible use of the anvil.
I don't know what is going on. That's the second time we've seen this. Gallagher.
Mistake. It's got to be a mistake. Got to be sweaty fingers on the phone. Just accidentally tapped that. I mean, you're going to lose touch, because she dropped that at a 2% grade. I mean, that immediately adds an. And
she's already at 185 beats per minute. What is happening here? Oh, such a suffer moment.
Terrible.
Get back on terms. That is a huge effort she's got to use now. Now she's actually giving a wheel to Lady M here. Now Miller coming on through. Oh, no. Wow, this is quite the kick, actually. Emily from the Gentoo now pushing right on through, saying enough is enough. It's going to be Miller now as well coming through. The old uphill Tom Banyan. He is a super fan today. I love this guy. He was chatting about this this morning as well in the APAC. Tom Banyan's letting us know that this is the good old super secret, anvil uphill tactic here. The old uphill anvil trick. I mean, it's just an intimidation factor. We were saying in the APAC, It sounded like.
Yeah, so we said if you want to drop the anvil uphill as a bit of a sort of a mic drop, like I can still ride uphill faster than you, even with a weight on my bike. So that's when you drop the anvil uphill. I wouldn't recommend it unless you're feeling supremely confident, because as we saw there, immediately drops a rider off the back. But I like it. I like the sort of confidence there of people dropping it, but I would say that one was definitely a slip of the finger, because now would be the perfect time to drop it. Super tuck, as we're watching here from A Held from BRT. Drop the anvil now, and she could extend this lead. She might not have that power up though, but 2 seconds ahead already from Johansson from Fear. Everyone looks like they're in the super tuck now. So Held here. Is this a bit of a move?
This is a great move, actually, coming in from the Candy Kittens. All part of the plan, saying Charlie Bad. He's down with it as well. Getting into some great super tucks, a little bit of a push as well. She's being really smart about the way that she's using her watts as well to get into these super tuck situations, and then not making sure that she is not holding back when it does get underneath that -3% gradient. 65 kilometers per hour. Let's see if it's able to be matched here. We do see almost 70 kilometers per hour, though, with the snowball effect of 2 riders. May have been an anvil involved as well. That's pretty high speeds. Bringing back those seconds quickly. It does look like we're going to have a situation with Fearless getting together down the chase. Great to see the 2 teammates working together, as it's going to be McQueen and Johansson with the RWB rider Gallagher now. Gentoo off the back a little bit. Emily's got to throw down, and then it's going to be Garrity there. 10 seconds back. No woman's land. Thomas with TFC Storm's going to have to work together with her.
Yeah, I like seeing that from Fearless. I'd almost say that McQueen there had dropped an anvil because she came through very quick through that group as well. Looks like she's got on to Held's wheel. Another terrible drop of the anvil there. What is Johansson doing? We're on a 5% uphill and you just added weight. Oh, this is not good there from Johansson. She had all that downhill, all that tarmac to play with to use that anvil power up, which was perfect. But she managed to get back on. Now, this is nice for this group. You got 2 fearless riders. It's always nice having a teammate there. So phase 2 there, we can see from Thomas the downhill feather. Now, maybe that's what we're going to start seeing dropped. That would be interesting. But yeah, maybe it's just people getting used to this power up. But there have been a lot of uphill anvils, that's for sure.
Yeah, I'm surprised how many uphill anvils there have been. I mean, earlier this morning, now we're getting them now as well. I mean, okay. I mean, we'll see. Perhaps we need to have an educational situation here. I misspoke a little bit earlier. Speaking of educational situations, I just got a little bit of an update here. All the way out to 83rd place, it's 2 points for for riders finishing positions. So first place 40 points, second is 35, third is 30, then 29 all the way down to 2 points, and that's actually so 29 to 23 points down to 10th. Then from 11th to 15th is 20, 19 for 16 to 20. So then by 5 places, you keep on getting a good amount of points all the way down to 81st to 83rd for 2. And then 84 plus still gets 1 point. So we have a ton of motivation for all the riders, even if they're on and that's the cool thing is even if you're on a bad day and you started the race, you still get 1 point for getting across the finish line, right? And that's one of the things that's absolutely great about this.
Yeah, that's really good. I'm just seeing here now the strategy that Held may have had for trying to push off on that downhill. Looks like she is just, she's doing a bit of a Yates here, just yo-yoing off the back of the group, keeping everyone on their toes, but she's really losing touch with that wheel. I feel like this climb, as it kicks up to 8%, may just be a little bit too hard. They are now coming up Keith Hill. So opposite side to Leith Hill we saw before, and it starts off pretty hot like this, flattens off for a small portion, and then it really just is a brutal slog up to the end. So shorter than the Leith side, but I'd say steeper, and just with the fatigue setting in, this is going to be really hard. And I think Held here is she's losing touch. I almost feel like the rider on the front of this group, Johansson from Fear, can see that a little bit with Held and is just starting to drill the pace up, turn a few notches, and just have those riders coming off the end. This is almost like a sort of Ineos kind of a move here. If everyone's been watching the Giro, is just really dialing up that pace and just seeing people drop off one by one off the back.
This is an interesting comment here. Marco is letting us know that he thinks we should get rid of the Tron in community races. I would like to know what the idea there is on principle, as it's just a different currency that's used, which is climbing, versus spending 15 million drops or whatever on the fastest. Venge with 858s. You earn it just in a different way, but it's still a currency. The currency is just going to be climbing for the Tron. But definitely a different opinion out there. I would like to know what the principle is for that, if it's just on tradition or if it's on anything that has to do with something that has to do with fairness. But look, I could see if we were going to say, I'm one that you go to the root assumptions then, right? And I'm a philosophy major, so it needs to be fair across the board.
Okay, here we go. Let's settle in.
If you're dealing with just truth and you're dealing with just the truth of the principle, then and you go off of the principle, then the principle has to go to all. It has to go across the board then, and then the principle would be, well, Then we do World of Warcraft 3v3 arena style, right? So when you get into a serious competition in an arena in that situation, everyone has the same options available to them. They get to kit their avatar with anything that could be available to anyone, and there is no earning anything extra, right? So one of the things, if you are in a pickup game in WoW or some other games where there's some grinding that's done in order to earn things, is that you would go out, and that was one of the ways that obviously World of Warcraft or Blizzard would make their money, is you need to go out and you need to grind and stay subscribed in order to continue to get these items that make you stronger to go beat bosses. Well, that's fine if it's PvE, player versus environment. If you're going out and you're raiding, the whole idea is, you're simulating this grinding to go and get special items to go and fight bosses, right, with your guild or whoever. But when you got into a PvP situation and you want it to be more based on dynamic skill, that became a little bit of an issue. In just pickup games, when you're out in the community fighting, fine. But once they got into tournaments where money was on the line and things like that, they said, look, it has nothing to do with what you grinded. We're just going to open up all of the items to everyone that could be available. So it's only based on these players' skill and not how much time they spent grinding these items, right? So on that front, then, if we're going to do that, then in these races specifically, if we're going to make the community races like that, then we would have to open up all items to everyone, or everybody's availability would be exactly the same when you jump into these specific races. Otherwise, it's like it's grinding as principle, or it's not. You can't kind of go in between, right? Like, where do we draw the line then? And why does that line make any sense? Why is the currency of climbing for a Tron bike any different than the currency of earning drops? There really isn't any difference. It's just how much time and willingness that you've put in, the same way that if you're going to buy some other something else in games. So I would like to know the thinking there.
So my thinking is very simple, is from a commentary point of view, the Tron is slightly boring. From a commentary point of view, having different bikes and wheel sets where you can kind of think about why they picked that, why have they paired that with that, what is that wheel set, is how aero is that, how much weight is that, that's what is quite interesting in my perspective. You can close up on a bike, go, oh, they've gone the tarmac, okay, or the specialized venge, or they've gone this. So purely for me, that's the reason, because with a Tron, it's just a Tron. There's nothing to analyze on a Tron. It's just a Tron.
It's just a Tron. It's just a Tron. I like it. Oh, it's just a Tron. When those who are still climbing for the Tron, Simon's looking at it's not just Simon's like, it's not just a Tron, okay? This is the bane of my Zwiftcast existence. But Ridge right now on the front here, still fading a little bit on the climb, but I think that she's put the work in to be able to, and I see 4.0 as I say that, but it's a little bit lower on this climb at this point, probably tiring the legs out, that's for sure. 30K in, been off the front, but she's got a 2.5 minute
2.5 minutes.
Not coming back. Bella Vilo is going to be taking this one down. You going to call it at this point? Is this going to be your pick?
Yeah,
maybe.
I'll pick Ridge. Right. I do actually just want to make a note about how good she's looking on the bike as well. I mean, look at that tie together. It's kind of, I think it's a bronze kind of bike she's paired with.
Here come the fashion police.
Yeah, look at that. Those wheels, they add a tiny bit of coloring that just matches the bike. So it looks like she's riding a Cannondale. Nice. Look at that. Blue gloves that match the blue of the kit. And then everything else is accessorized with orange. Just the glasses, the hat, the little cuffs. Yeah, perfect. That, everyone, is how you match up a bike. So even on the brake handles, you can just see a touch of orange that matches that little touch of orange on the wheels as well. Drink bottles matching with the orange Z on there. Yeah, looking nice. I mean, that's I've got to say, Ridgeway, you're riding well, but you're also looking very stylish while you do it.
Yeah, well done here. I guess you're getting what's the rank here? I mean, is this going to be
It's high.
Is it really? This is,
yeah.
I mean, I guess the matching is pretty good. See, the blue with the orange was just kind of, but I mean, it does all match really well. Look at even the brake lever. Look at that.
Yeah.
It's that is pretty sick when it comes to the little accent on the bottom of the shoe too.
Yeah.
The orange bottles. I mean, all right.
Yeah.
I guess this is almost a 10.
Hi, this is
close?
I'd say, yeah. nine and a half for this one.
No, oof, well done. You don't hear that often. You do not.
No. So good work,
Okay.
Ridgeway.
Ridgeway,
You
you
might
should have
make a
just put a
showing on.
visor on. You would have got extra points for me for getting the
No,
visor. The visor.
no.
Chelsea on the attack. The Gentoo Penguins now. Here we go. 191 beats per minute of 1 second. This is where you're just suffering so badly to eke out any kind of gap that you can on the back end of the race. Chelsea from the Gentoo now. Johansson from Fearless and Garrity, they're working together behind with the 2-second gap over Held, who was early on the attack here. The BRT Candy Kittens here. Johansson trying to break the Candy Kittens. It is going to be TFC Storm with Thomas still in the picture a little bit. She can see them up, and that is a big deal because BRT also have Racked and then Lloyd with TFC. So this is not over when it comes to this battle between BRT and TFC. This is for 3rd and 4th place on the day, everyone. Where they finish matters. And they still got about, I would say, a little under 10 kilometers to go at this point. So definitely need to try and bring back any time they possibly can within striking distance. As you can see here, 44 seconds up. And look at Karen. Karen's at 2.9. Lloyd here now up into 3.4. These little punches are going to matter for TFC Storm here. This is not over. Thomas, she's got, it looks like up ahead 18 seconds. That's the difference right here. If she's able to beat Held, that may put TFC Storm in a winning position. And look, there's a lot of points, not just with Held. If she's able to actually catch on, I mean, this is a huge ask, seeing that how much she's suffered already up against these riders here. But if Held falls off, if she's able to put a couple of riders between her and Held, that is a lot of points to try and take over that 3rd place on the podium for TFC Storm. A lot on the line right now for BRT and them.
Yeah, oh gosh, she was down to 55 cadence there on some of those kicks up. I mean, that is fatigue going through the legs. That was a very, very low cadence there. I mean, you're really at risk of hitting the spiral of death if you're hitting 55 cadence on some of these kick ups. So yeah, Held, not sure. I think you can see the heart rate going up there. It is pretty brutal. If I'm, looking at this climb, if I was Johansson, obviously she's feeling good. I would almost just sit in the back of this group. You're not going to get a draft, but you might just get a little bit of ease off with following wheels and pacing. And then near the end, it kicks up again. I'd attack. Full noise attack on the steepest gradient. I know it's easy to say here when I'm sort of sitting in a chair and it's, my heart rate's not around 170, but that is a strategy that could work to sort of break up this pack and make a breakaway. You've really got to push it before you get to that downhill and just splinter the pack. Because at the moment, if anyone sort of just slowly moves off the front here, say like a Johansson, the group behind is too big over the top and they'll just clump together and catch up on the downhill. As we're seeing here, actually, Edmondson and Goat still together, just coming through over the Keith Hill banner, and they're coming through.
I think this is Box Hill. No, yeah, Box Hill, right?
Is this Box Hill?
Yeah, I believe this this is up front. Box Hill, Goat, Edmondson, Stewart, and Christian on the attack. It looks like this is just a little bit of attack to dig over the top as they're going to hit that really sharp bump at the top. Just wanted to highlight this real quick before we go to the finish of the women's race. They're about to descend and come up the climb that we just saw the women on. They will actually. Men's race, sorry. This is for the men's race. Sorry about that. Yeah, so I just transferred over to another race. They're like, what's going on here? What's even happening?
Where are they?
What are we even doing? So, interesting. I also want to highlight, we were talking about this may be why, and I can understand this, but I just don't agree with that. And then if this is true, so the if then, right? If this is true, then I can see some of that it's just so strong we have to take it out because it makes it uninteresting or it's so strong, and it takes a long time to get it. I just don't agree with that. Like, I think that racing is, I think that a lot of times that prediction, that opinion is based on certain assumptions that I'm not sure actually work out as the reality of dynamic racing in a bike race. So, again, though, the tests that are done, I think they may have a little bit of bias. I mean, and I would love to have a discussion with Eric, actually. We should probably just have him on and be like, hey, Eric, because a lot of people take that opinion as gold, which he does an amazing job with it. It's the source to go to with it. I'm just not sure that it is always, whatever. I should probably put my money where my mouth is, though, and go run my own tests and set up I don't know, what am I going to set up, 5 avatars and have them all at different wattages and then see which bike. And you'd have to, it would be a long day of testing, weeks actually of testing, I think, in order to get the ways that each one of these bikes interact in a pack situation. And it may be a lot more straightforward, actually, than I'm saying. It may be a lot more just the compounding of the watts amongst each other and the way that they interact on different gradients and climbs. But I get the feeling that that's not how it plays out. I get the feeling that, the algorithms and the ways that the calculations work do impact each other with each one of the variables, the gradient, the number of riders around you, this current speed, as well as how that bike interacts with each one of those things. I do think it's going to be a lot more dynamic than just a set 300 watts across. I know I'm hammering on this one, but chat seems to be interested in it. Actually, the thing is that topic gets chat going more than any other topic I've noticed. So obviously, the moment that chat starts picking up, they obviously have a huge interest in it, and it's a big topic that really brings a lot of people to the conversation, because I think there's a lot of interest. I mean, when it comes down to all of the very popular race recons that we see, one of the main questions is what bike? What bike am I going to use? What bike? Exactly. You know what I mean? That's the main thing that people show up for. It looks like Ridgeway about to cross the line. This is going to be it right here. It's actually right from what we've noticed here. Which one is it? Which
that one.
There it is. Right?
This one here.
Oh no, we're gonna lose everybody now. There it is.
She stopped. Yeah,
just came across. So that is the finish line for those who are looking for it. Ridgeway just coming across the line. We'll get back in with the rest of the ladies. We'll just have to find them real quickly. Actually, out on course, we go back to the men as we look for the finishing of the rest of that C category.
Yeah, that's Ridgeway. Chapeau on that performance. Early attack. Took the lead, was early attack at very, very high watts, but then settled into a rhythm. So just managed to get a huge gap, about 2.5 minutes, it looked like at the end there. So that's a good race, because although it's nice to sort of have a breakaway and win from the breakaway, it's also quite mentally tough. You don't have anyone around you. It's kind of like a solo TT for a very long time. I mean, they were out racing for over an hour. So good work on Ridgeway. Looks like there'll be 2 who are chasing her down. So not sure who will take out second and third, but looking at the men's race as they have started Keith Hill. Now, they will not finish at the bottom of this hill like we just saw with the women's, because they're in the B category. They've still got to go up Fox Hill after this one.
Whew. Makes things a little bit more difficult for them. We may be able to jump also in with the women's A's if they have not finished yet. They may have already come across the line. We'll see if we can jump in with them for just a moment to see how things are playing out. I do believe we have a pretty cool race actually happening with Polemi from Team Rave, as well as Sox Washed with Emmy Koling. That is going to be a battle. We'll see if we can jump in there and see, because that is a very hotly contested, I think, battle at the front end for Team Rave and Sox for Watts.
Yeah, from what I've been looking at with who could be going to playoffs, I think it was pretty hotly contested in the top 2 and 3 of that EMEA Women's A-League. So, yeah, that would be interesting if we get images of this. As we see a slight little downhill now on Keith Hill, but then it kicks up and it's basically a steady climb all the way to the top, where it flattens out slightly at the top before they hit that big downhill. But nice sort of big group together here. Looks about, it has, I guess, 15 riders riding fairly well together. So there hasn't been any break-offs thus far. A couple of riders just about 11 to 12 seconds back. Unfortunately, they're pushing very high watts, probably trying to get back on. Not sure that's going to happen. But if we look at this crew, it looks like we've still got a couple of dirt riders in there. Can just see some Z-Sun as well, just 2 Z-Sun. So they've dropped someone along the way. And that's the sort of the fight we're looking at here. I think they're even at the top, Dirt and Z-Sun. And I'm just wondering if Dirt has 2 riders or 1. Looks like they've still got 2 riders. So that's kind of the story of this front
pack. Did you see
and,
this, Ackers? Three are just smashing. And look, there's a chase group. This is not over at all. This is amazing, actually, to see what's happening with this race here at this point. We said early on that the reality of this course could see some major blowups that end up having riders come back later on. They've been looking at each other a lot, it seems. Now, after already falling off on a climb, though, perhaps the reality is that they're just going to fall off again. But we do see Zedson now making the way to the front with Jones again. He was the early attacker over the top of Fox Hill for the first time. This is a much larger pack than we've been used to seeing so far. Goat at the back here now. I did just see, and I'm getting word that in the women's A division, Division 1A's, Emmy and Alicia Plemy have come across the line. We were looking to try and get their finish, but we are unable to quickly find it there to get across categories. But we are being chased by Marina Arce from Team Aeonian, and then Lati Dubel from Team Rave as well. It's going to be Lily Swan, Rafa CC there with Ursulia Bardovska, and Maddie Gammon there from Canyon Dev. So those are the teams involved still at the front end of that race. See if we can maybe jump in with some of the finishers there, as well as some of the finishers for the C's. We're still looking for them out on course. Apologies. Sometimes we do lose the images after the front runner finishes and we're not able to click across quick enough. We'll see if we can get back in with them as quickly as we possibly can, though, if it does update for us. It does sometimes have to do with updates coming through with the live, and it does not always pull in the riders from the event we're looking for.
Yeah, I'm just looking at these guys kind of emerging from the fog. You wonder if there'll be any attacks up this climb, knowing they've got one more to go, and you've got to be thinking this group is a little bit too big to take to the line. The interesting thing about the Fox Hill finish is it's relatively speaking, a short climb, and then at the top it has that downhill like -10% straight into a pretty much a flat. So we have seen that we've seen sprint finishes in the chasing packs. Now, if this pack comes to the line, it's pretty, as we're saying, nice foliage view there, but pretty big pack coming now to the line.
That's a great way of Anna being like, well, Nathan, we've been looking at trees for a while.
I like trees, but this pack is too big to take to the line because it's going to be a sprint finish. It's not going to be a nice sort of climb of attrition. Obviously, the riders in this group can climb well. They're in this front pack for a reason. Some of them need to start attacking off the front. Just want to call out Ackers there. I think it was Ackers, from Race 3R, who managed to bridge that gap because that chase pack is now 30 seconds back, over 30 seconds. So Ackers, extremely good job of just soloing, bridging between the packs, putting up huge watts to get back in touch. And now, for this last part of the race, you're still looking at 14 kilometers that these guys have got. You can just sort of relax a little bit, be in the pack as opposed to no man's land between. So good call out to Ackers. We are seeing Edmondson putting in a bit of a dig on the front now here. Looks like Utting is all over it, but nice job here from Edmondson from RWB.
Great attack here, and he's been on this over and over again. He was over the top for the first time, actually, with this early attacks with D. Jones. So it was Edmondson and D. Jones that made those early attacks on Box Hill and broke things up initially. Looks like they are the strong climbers of the day, and they're at it again here. Udin comes across here from AHDR, knows that this is a move that you can't just let go early on, maybe allowing it to go, but here, these are the final moves. Last two climbs on the day. So the sharper of the climbs today, it is going to be Keith Hill, 5% gradient, 4.3 kilometers, as you can see. Fox Hill going to be the second one, going to come at them pretty quickly. It is a longer downhill, though, and this downhill can be a little bit more tactical because it does undulate outside of 3%, so it isn't just a rest. There are some opportunities if it does really splinter, as we did see in the men's D race earlier in APAC that we did cover, the way in which a rider could use that downhill to bridge gaps or get away, you get more speed away from riders because it isn't just a steady grind at a -3%, jump into a super tuck, maybe use an anvil, a little bit more tactical descent on the back end of Keith Hill.
Yeah, this Edmonton push off the front it looks like it's just dropped some riders. We've got Goat from AHDR dropped off the back, Race 3R dropping off the back, Dillboy dropping off the back. There are some Eckers, who I was just calling out for a great job for getting back on, has now dropped 20 seconds back in that very short amount of time. Huge drop here, Nathan, from Kieran from the Dirt team. He is now 28 seconds back, along with the Z Sun rider of Thompson. So those two will need to be watching each other very carefully. You don't want to have the Z Sun rider drop. That means there's two Dirt riders up in this top group. So that's a little bit of a talking point. Two riders there from our two top teams dropping off the pack of this main group. They cannot afford to drop any more riders.
Yeah, and the Palominos, how many herd riders are up front? That'll be the question, right? Because at 120, 9 points difference. Now the thing is that the Zed Sun and Dirty Beast Alligators, they would really have to have a really bad day though, right? Because we're talking a pretty big jump in points. But at 129. At 120, you get the feeling there may have been a lot of parity between these top three teams, throughout the entirety of this racing series. So moving forward, where are the rest of Zed Sun? We do see it is going to be Zed Sun here at the front with Jones. So still safe there.
Jones and
we still got
Martin.
Martin. So there is still two of these team members. Herd are actually not involved here. So not a threat there, actually. They're just going to be looking to solidify up against the Emerald Flyers. Now, my question, though, is Emerald Flyers then? I think they can, I think they taste blood in the water here with RWB. Yeah. At 114, 6 points. That's less than that 9 between the third and second. So RWB, I think, are on the chase to try and take, as well as AHDR. I mean, they showed up to race today because AHDR, the Cheesecake, Brigade.
They're doing well.
109. I mean, is this a big jump for both of these teams in that fourth and fifth place here? This is quite the battle we're seeing.
Oh, and we're seeing a Dirt rider, Christian, going off the front. What I have noticed there is it looks like Dirt has two in this top group with Christian and Martin. Martin's falling off a little bit now. Only one Z Sun rider there with Jones. Jones has got to be watching this move. You can see Jones already as Watts going up to 7.8 orange numbers from Jones to try and get onto the wheel of Christian. He knows that's danger. There we go. We can see Jones coming up on that pink Tron, coming up behind Christian, who's now pushing 7.7. So concerted attack here from Christian. I think he's trying to make a breakaway at the top of this Keith climb. This is exactly what I said, is you've got to start pushing away now, because you don't want this huge group coming into the Fox Hill climb at the end, because it's a short enough climb. A lot of these people can hold on. So this is real danger time now for the Z Sun riders with Dirt. Christian here going off the front. Jones, not sure if he's going to be able to bridge this gap, already 7 seconds back.
Well, he does have a pack, and maybe he's trusting it with 4 riders and anvils. Maybe able to happen here. Jones now grabbing some points as well. Nice little move here coming by Jones, and that is going to solidify those points. Now, RWB, though, 2 riders in the top 4 across the line. That is a big deal with these points right now. Currently, 4th place at 114. The Palominos, where are they? Oh, beauty doesn't get you across the line first, that's for sure, as it's just going to be about power. And it does look like Herd way back with MJ and nobody else but Robinson back here, and RWB throwing down on the day, maybe bumping themselves up into that 3rd place here. This may be the moves to make it happen here. Herd are going to have to bring back a lot of time, but I don't think that's going to happen now. As we were saying, with this chasing group, 3 riders, I think they're going to be able to bring back Christian, perhaps. Christian's up at the 81 kilometers per hour, though. 88 here from these 2 riders from RWB, working very well together in that super tuck.
Yeah, you can see Jonesy is pushing huge numbers. He knows he's got to get on wheels here. They've got to get onto Christian 4 seconds up the road. Christian may have been going fast, maybe dropped an anvil, which would be interesting too, because they won't pick up another power up before the finish line on the top of Fox Hill. So if it was me, I'd be saving any power up for that last part of the climb, put in an attack. Remember, it finishes pretty flat with a downhill lead in, so not a typical uphill climb finish. And it looks like 3 seconds back, but Jones a further 3 seconds back. So unfortunately, has completely lost touch on this downhill. Really, really bad positioning there. I'm not sure what happened and why he lost touch of those 2 RWB wheels ahead of him, but 5 seconds behind Edmondson now, 8 seconds behind Christian from dirt. So he's got a tough road ahead now coming into the last climb of Fox Hill.
Still one more climb to go, though. It's a good attack, but there's plenty of landscape to work with. These time gaps are they get really extended out on the downhills. They'll probably come a little bit closer in after the downhill section, but we do see a lot of time opening up here. Jones now waiting, I think, seeing that it's probably to his advantage to work together with these 2 behind, save a little bit of energy, and then ramp it right on up, actually, with 3 that are coming on pretty quickly here, as we do see race 3R. We see, come on, DYL, as we do see a little bit of encouragement saying, let's go. Now we see 7.7 watts become 7.9 there from the Zsun rider. R3R Dev trying to work together with them. Go from the HDR right on the wheel there of SDW. Sturdy here, race 3R here out in no man's land, trying to get back on terms with Jones from Zsun, Uni, and Martin. It's going to be Christian and the 2 RWB boys. Now, if the 2 RWB boys, they're able to take down the first and second, that is a huge amount of points. And I think that will be a 3rd place podium for them if they make that happen.
Yeah, I think that they could be pushing past Herd of the pacing Palominos for sure. Unfortunate for Herd, you just don't see many of them in this top group. But then again, don't forget that the points do go down very far, and they could have a whole lot of riders sort of sitting in the back end of this race. There's 66 in this crew, so they could be sitting, back in the 40th plus. So don't discount them yet. And also, not sure how the fastest time segment or first across the line have played out. So that could also be something to remember, is people could be just going for those points and then cruising the sort of in-between bits between climbs, not going for the finish line. And that's what makes this racing interesting. Everybody's riding counts on the day. It's not just about who's at the front end of this race, although that is exciting because we are seeing 3 here, 13 seconds ahead of that chase pack led by Stewardy from race 3R. They're riding through this Richmond Park sort of area. We're just at the bottom of Keith Hill, and this is where the C's and D's were finishing, just down here, but this crew will keep on riding, a bit of rolling terrain, and then hit Fox Hill number 2.
Fox Hill number 2 is the first one they took on the day, and the last one they're going to be taking on the day. The back side of Box Hill, a little bit sharper, a little bit steeper, usually a little bit quicker as well. Probably not quite, not for me. Well, race finishing tends to put a little bit more motivation. Only 15 seconds. We did say it could come back. They're keeping it steady here, and the 4 riders and maybe a third getting back. Actually, maybe even a 4th and a 5th here we're seeing coming back on terms. We're going to have 6 riders now, it looks like, and we still have a chase group behind them as well. Now, if you did fall off, though, on that climb, unless you find an extra energy gel and a whole lot of motivation, usually going to be the same on the climb. So still a lot of chatter still coming on through about the bike conversation.
Awesome.
I'm absolutely loving it. I'm always up for a little bit of a debate. So, Marco continues, and this is a great point. And I'm liking the point that he's making here that Tron, now the way that this is said, though, is matter-of-factly. I'm not sure that matter-of-fact, though, is, and also how does it turn out to be? So Tron turns out to be the best chance of winning 90% of courses, including this one with several long climbs, and eliminates sorts of stretch. So what's where did the statistic come from, and how? Is that from a Zwift Insider perspective that they say that that's the fastest bike? Is that because the number of riders, we have 70% of the riders in a race are using the Tron bike, so then we end up with, if that's an actual statistic, 90% are winning. Is it because there's just more Tron bikes in the race? There's a lot, when we start just talking about, the raw facts of the matter, does it turn out that there's just a lot more Tron bikes in the race, so you have 90% of the bikes that are winning they're Tron bike, so I'm wondering, and also, do you have more experienced Zwifters and people who are more fit as well on these bikes, so that's another question that needs to be taken into account. We do have a little bit of attack actually here off the front. It looks like Goat, excuse me here. Yeah, Goat here, off the front. No, we're getting a little mix up here in the, sorry about that, everybody.
People are coming down. I think people might be coming up or down the hill
the
at the
other
same
side,
time.
and so then they got mixed up there. Yeah, good call there with Reynolds there. So I was clicked off. So it is still going to be RWB. They opened up the gap actually here and to 23. It was down to 15 at one point. It does look like they are going to be walking away with this one. I think this was planned. I think RWB knew that they needed these points for that third place.
Yeah, and they've raced very well here. They're kind of a little bit of a sleepy giant. We weren't mentioning them at the top of the show, and here they go, 2 in the top 3. You got 25 seconds on that group behind. So you'd imagine, unless there's going to be a huge shakeup, that this will be the 3 going to the line. They are just riding the sort of what I'd call the wavy areas of Richmond Park. You might spot some deers off to the side. I don't know if you've ridden through Richmond Park yourself, Nathan, but very beautiful place to ride, and quite a lot of animals sort of hanging out in the park usually, and they'll take this little sort of digs off the front every now and then, but I don't think they have to worry too much. Over 20 seconds ahead. Just now, you've got to think about what strategies they will have coming into this climb. You've got Christian, who for dirt is really going to want to take the win to be able to beat the Z-Sun crew just with a huge amount of points. And then RWB, they've got the motivation to get 1-2 because they want to get ahead and move up into a podium spot. So this is going to be a good one to watch the finish. I'm not sure what tactics would better play out here. I think what I would do with 2 in the group, send what I'd call a satellite rider up. So send one of the green shirts up the road. Best case they end up taking out the win with that early attack.
Where did we get the satellite thing? Where did that come from? I heard about that this morning.
I've been watching too much Giro d'Italia. It's just they talk a lot about satellite riders, so sending someone up in the chase so that they've got a rider up the road.
So he was hired by Elon Musk to send to
exactly just satellite up.
Just satellite out.
Oh, that's not a
powered by Dogecoin to the front. Here we go, exactly. Edmondson. Right now, the Doge is on the wheel.
Exactly. I'm just seeing Christian then from Dirt dropping a draft power up, which is on this kind of terrain so far away from the finish. That tells me he's struggling, I would say.
Yeah, and the other thing there is that means they see that, and I mean they're just licking their chops now at this point, right? Those other two, because they're like, well, if they're holding on to a feather, at this point.
Or the anvil to drop right before the finish on that negative 10%.
Oh, no, there are no feathers. There are no feathers. Excuse me. My bad. There are no feathers in this one, are there? There's only 3. So we are looking at the anvil.
Truck anvil feather.
Yeah. Is it feather? Oh, excuse me. Okay, it is a feather. Okay. Yep, you're right.
No arrow.
Right.
No arrow.
We're all confused. We're a little confused. Sorry, my bad.
So those 2 green riders, I think now are sitting in look at that. They're just making Christian work on the front and just drafting off him. That is brutal. They've just seen that draft drop. They know he's struggling, and now they're forcing him on the front. That's some smart riding, but man, that's tough on the dirt rider.
Yeah, super, super tough on the dirt rider. So depending on what these riders have for power-ups, they're going to have a huge advantage most likely. I didn't see them use any anvils on the downhill. The last time that they were able to get a power-up was through the Keith Hill climb. Now a little bit of attack. They are 1-2ing this rider. They definitely are. Mm-hmm. You can see this now. Borderayas, he is, and that's why he's suffering, because he has to keep on closing these down. The RWB rider just going to the back, holding on, almost actually double wheeling him so that he doesn't gain that speed. That's one thing is you can elbow. That's one thing that can get really frustrating with the new AI. Mm-hmm. But I mean, it is a reality of racing now, is you can elbow other riders out of their position and slow them down actually. So Christian having to fight with Edmondson here just to be able to hold speed. Well played by RWB, but really putting the dirt rider into a tough situation. The alligator here is going to have to really show his teeth to say and try and chop these guys down, because the RWB just putting them to work.
Yeah, and 3 kilometers to go. So they're still on sort of this rolling terrain. They're going to hit, I think, this little sort of cross in the road, and they'll go up Fox Hill for the second time. The finish line is at the top. They've just been toying with poor Christian there from dirt, I think. So here comes the next punch up. So Edmondson now pushing to the front. So that's the 1-2 attacks they've had going on. We had Bordarius just on the front before, and now they've got Edmondson, and you can see Christian is again getting half-wheeled by Bordarius. So this is not going to be a pleasant end to the race for the dirt rider, but he's hanging tough. So there they go around that right-hand corner, and they'll be hitting this climb very, very shortly. So some fireworks coming up for sure on the second time up Fox Hill.
You can see the suffering of other riders on the right, up above them now, because 5:05. This is going to be people on. Is this going to be the descent? Then I'm just going to check here real quickly. 32nd place, actually on a little bit of a climb. It looks like here, as these riders are starting their box hill. I want to say that we're just jumping in with here real quickly. So they're just getting going. It looks like. We'll jump back in with the RWB riders, though, in just a moment as we move our way forward, just to kind of get an idea of where everybody's at. You were talking about these places do matter, and they do for lots of points here. 48 Tooth, Bike Works, as you can see, with Williams hammering away as we make our way through this top 40 or so. Another group here with 2 riders. It's going to be Obo, SD Wasps, and Jensen from the Vikings chasing down the 2 guys rider who looks like absolutely fading in 27th place. Maybe just waiting up, though, to try and start their climb as they head into their final time up Fox. A couple of dirt riders. Now, this is good to see.
Yeah, 26th. Yeah. So they've still got a lot of riders out there. That's looking good. Looking good for dirt. So who knows how that's going to finish off at the top of this table with dirt, tied for first place with the Z-Sun crew. Don't see any Z-Sun riders in this little chase pack at 26. So a tie after 8 races. I mean, wow, that's pretty tough.
Well, you do see the herd rider here, too. I mean, they're marking, or the herd rider may be marking them, because that's the battle between the Palominos and the dirt team. It also the RW Flyers, though, too. Obviously, the ones that we're looking at winning on the day. We'll work our way through, because how many other RWB riders are there in this top 20? It may only be the 2 off the front, and we see a lot of dirt kits in here.
Yeah.
So, it's just the 2 RWBs. I mean, they're really going to have to carry the team at the end of the day, because there's so many dirt riders in between here. So stacking, as you had said, that top 30 even is going to have a big impact on. Did D Jones come back? What is going on here? Was it what?
Or are they weird?
Or was D Jones off the front? We just didn't notice. Is that?
That's strange. Jones is up there. He was definitely off the back, so he's caught up somehow. He's bridged across from that chase pack, which is 22 seconds behind. So somehow Jones has managed to find some energy and push up, because I did not see him at the front of that group at all. We saw Christian was leading that with an attack from dirt. So unless we've missed something, Jones has made quite the catch on this front group of 3, and that's changed things up massively between Z-Sun and dirt, who we see on that leaderboard, the league standings tied at 129 points. Dirt and Z-Sun. So that's just made this last bit even more exciting. They're into the last kilometer now, 44.1 kilometers for the A's and B's, finishing at the top of Fox Hill. It is a very hard, all the climbs are hard. This one's hard just with the fatigue in the legs, knowing you've got to save a little bit to cover any attacks and then also attack yourself.
This looks like it's going to come right down to it, actually. Jones versus Christian, Edmondson, RWB, and Boudoir is now as well. They are going to be an issue for them. If RWB put 1 rider between dirt and Sun, that is going to be, oh man, because this is for all the chips on the table here. 129, Z-Sun versus the Alligators. It's playing out right in front of you right now. Where are the rest of the Z-Sun riders? Thompson is right here. There's no dirt rider between them. There's also, though, another Z-Sun rider here with Dillboy. So, they've really stacked this situation. Kieran here now, but we did see a lot of dirt behind them. Thompson, he's going to have to beat out Thompson here. This may come right down to how this placing goes, though, because of that. Because there is such a large gap between first place and fourth place when it comes to the points. It is absolutely going to matter for those minor placings as to whether or not it can make up anything here. So this right here is the play out for the tie. Right now, it's coming between Christian and the rider D. Jones, who made it back to this group. Amazing ride from the Welshman.
Yeah. That just shows you're never out of it. If you've got something to give, you can catch back up on these climbs, especially with that front group kind of playing a few games. You had the RWB riders just getting in the way a bit, pushing off, easing back, and that just enabled D. Jones to put in a little bit of a dig, catch back up, and now you're just seeing the distance there from that camera angle that someone else catching up. Goat from AHDR.
5'8".
Managing to bridge a bit.
Woo!
Wow. They are coming back. I'm not sure he's going to get in touch because they're just about to crest what I would call the top part of the climb. It goes very, very steep downhill, -10%. And I'd like to see if that's where anyone's going to open up a long-range sprint, because then it just pretty much goes flat to the line. So only a small part of this actual climb left to go flat to the banner. So
I think he's doing it.
Goat is doing well.
He's coming in quick. 19 kilometers per hour, though. Goat, 18. It looks like they're starting to speed up a little bit because their attacks are on from Christian. Jones is there as well. He's trying to respond because he knows this is it. 129 points, 129 points. The two top tied teams are on the front now, and it's going to be Jones versus Christian Ford. RWB aren't even really a part of the conversation as Jones looks to try and break them.
And he's coming up just 9% here. It's so hard. You can see 65 RPM he's going. He's really, really grinding. 10% now. He's going to hit the top. Who's got the power-ups? We know that the Z-Sun rider, that the Dirt rider, does not have a power-up. You can just see that tree in the distance. That's where it drops down to -10. I would say drop an anvil if you can there.
Christian.
Pick up some momentum.
He's sitting on the wheel. Is he going to come over the top? Is he going to come over the top?
Here we go.
Is he going to come over the top and just go? He's sensing that Jones has done too much. Christian from Dirt goes over the top here. Christian, the German rider, 5.6. He's got 1 second. It might just be over. Jones is hoping that Edmondson will drag him to the line, but it's not going to happen. It looks like the Dirty Beasts alligators have made this happen. It's 2 seconds, 1 second. It's going out continually. Is he going to fade? Will be their last kick to the line? I don't think so. I think this is over here, Anna.
Yeah, 7 watts a kg there. Edmondson, 3 seconds back now. He's not even matching that speed. A little bit higher now, but I think it's all too late. Flat now. He's just going to bend around this right-hander, and he will see the banner 4 seconds ahead now. Great play from Christian. That was amazing. Move. Perfect timing.
Across the line, Jones going to take it from Edmondson. RWB are going to have to settle, actually, for not close. I mean, that's a pretty big drop in points, actually. Goat, amazing ride from him coming across.
Yeah.
The Australian rider, huge ride coming on through. Is this actually going to be part of the mixed teams? This is one of the women in it for HCR. Wow. Great to see. Amazing result there coming in for 5th place. Stewarty there, race 3R. Next one across coming out of Scotland behind Martin from Dirt. Udi now trying to hold off. No, it's going to be Jers there. Cross the line, 8.8. Dano then, R3R Dev, followed up by Dillboy, 26 seconds back. That's going to be your top 10 situation as we wait for results to come on in.
Wow, that was a great finish there. I mean, we saw in the women's race, it was a solo to the line, basically from the second climb. But the men's race, this B category in EMEA, I mean, wow, that was fantastic to watch. I mean, brutal, because the effort they've put in for this whole race. They've been going almost an hour 20, and then to sprint like that and put those watts out at the end. Phenomenal racing. I mean, we'll have to see how it all washes out between Dirt and Z-Sun, but Dirt's put a huge dent in the points, taking the overall win there.
I'd have to agree. Good call. Charlie Bad, 100%. This all comes down to the strategic uphill anvil. So it made the day.
Yep.
Really, at the end of the day, it just had to do with the uphill anvils. We are seeing great lace ladies coming in from Allison H. Again, we did try catching back onto the back end of the C category. It did look like it did finish right around the similar spots that we did end up with them, but great to see the battles that did play out between all of them. The herd, I think on the day, herd suffered the most when it comes to the point situation. This is going to be the first rider we are seeing from the Palominos, I believe, all the way back in 12th place. Robinson there, as well as Tom. They still have quite a few, as we can see around there, but I think the points that were gained across the line from some of these up ahead, I have a feeling that RWB for 3rd and 4th across the line are going to get a pretty big jump in the points at the end of the day. Now, we will not be getting updates. I am getting a lot of messages coming on through here. The updates on points and the points tables are going to take a little while. There is a large amount of latency on the day with Zwift Power. So we're being told to point you on over to WTRL.racing for the points at the end of the day and the new standings, as we do like to try and get them for you at least to give you an idea of how things ended up playing out. But we will be getting results as quickly as we possibly can, though, as we do see Kieran from Dirt trying to battle it out with the Vikings, but the Vikings now with Hogshead now easily going to take this. Zedson there also going to come across.
Zedson beat Dirt.
Oh, and then Zedson takes it down.
All over.
I'm loving it.
Wow, they are fighting all the way through these placings.
And they need to. I mean, it's going to come down to these places. As we said, it matters all the way down to into the 80s. So, it could be 1 point difference at the end of the day if there's enough team members, but Dirt taking it down with 40 points. I mean, that's a pretty big jump.
Yeah, that's, once people see those results and how they wash out, that'll be a nervous refreshing of the WTRL results screen for the Dirt and Zedson riders today.
Because that'll be a million hits coming through over and over again. Stop hitting refresh. You're killing our servers. Come on.
Exactly. Because you're just seeing them all down there. You can see Bailey ahead of Craig from Dirt, back 2.5 minutes, but still every single position counts. And these guys seem to have fielded full teams of 6, and it really is going to come down to all of the placings right up to 66th place back in the field in this race, which is awesome. You love just all those little battles. Makes the race, they've been out there over an hour 20, makes it way more interesting.
We are hearing that we do have results coming on through. So let's go ahead and for those that have finished, so we're going to go ahead and start bringing those on in just a moment here. A lot of great racing that we've seen all the way back to 26. Great job to Russell for SWD. 2 guys, Jensen, Goebel, the rest coming all through. The Wasps are bringing it in as well. So lots of racing still yet to go as well, Anna. The riders preparing, I think, watching for America's East and America's West. We've seen a lot of chatter throughout the day about how people are looking forward to taking this on. And I think a lot of riders are doing a little bit more reconnaissance about what, for this through these streams as well. They're going and checking out the reconnaissance rides that are put out there, but then also through these streams, we're seeing a lot of riders going, well, what's the reality of how it plays out though? Because it's a little bit different when you're in amongst riders trying to push you up these climbs versus, the ideas of how you're going to take it on.
Yeah, watching, let me tell you, is so much different to racing. Watching, I'm like, why don't they do that? Why don't they attack here? And racing, you're sort of breathing out your eyeballs, your heart rate's up in the 180s, and you're like, I just can't do anything. I just want to get to the finish line. So yeah, for all those who are racing in the Americas coming up, it's just going to be a hard race. Watching this is one thing, out there racing it with those high heart rates, totally different equation.
100%. Let's see if we can go ahead and bring something in here. I'm just going to double check for everybody to make sure that we do have these results up and ready to go for you, as we do have something a little bit new with them as well. So, and it does look like we do. So let's go ahead and bring these right on in. So women's results, it is going to be on the women's A's here. Let's go ahead and take a look at that. Anna, take it away. It looks like Rave at the top.
Yeah, so Palemi there from Rave taking it out with a close battle. Look at that with Socks for Watts. E. Colleen there, that is amazing. Aoni and RT Ars in 3rd. Double there in 4th from another Rave team. Very good. Aeonian in 5th. Then you've got Socks for Watts in 6th. So very tight battle there between Socks for Watts and Rave. Kirchmar with S. Mick in 7th. We've got Bardovskija from Rafa in 8th. Gammons from Canyon Development Squad Women in 9th. And then rounding out in 10th, a cryogen rider there, El Jikstra.
And for the B category for the women's EMEA Division 1, it was Jake Daniel for the Kirchmer Magnolia. 125 solid gap, and we see these large gaps on the day because a lot of the pure strength being shown on such a difficult course. Doneth from CCY Race Like a Girl, Kalini coming through 49 seconds back, followed up by M. McKinney there for RWB, Serrano Hams B1, 130 back. G. Wilkes for Satonia CCWB1, 140 back. It's going to be El Tavesson for SZER for 5th place. They're followed up by C. Spencer for the herd of little penguins. I don't know how I would find an image for just little penguins, but good to see the herd out there again. M.D. Vlager, they're right behind her in 7th place. It's going to be J. Levessi for BVRT in 8th. Pete Shamber for WTR Watbees in 9th, and then C. Ishtens for the KC Kirchmer Magnolia team. That's the B category for your top 10 in the EMEA Division 1. And for the category we covered on the day, this is going to be the C's.
Oh, yes, this is a good one. Ridgeway. Great looking bike, great looking performance. 1st place from Bellavello. 2 minutes 47 ahead of Williams from the herd of Gentoo Penguins. Beans there from the Belgian Zwift riders. So those two are riding together a while, but looks like Williams took it out by quite a decent margin, almost 30 seconds. A held there from BRT Candy Kittens, almost equal there with Johansson. So that looks like it would have been a sprint finish between those 4. Johansson, Miller, and Gallagher. So very, very tight racing from that 4th to 7th position. Garrity there from RWB as well. RWB across women and men have had a great race today. E. Katmer from the herd of Gentoo Penguins in 9th. And then A. Vanderbroek from KRTC, hotter than hell, in 10th.
And in the D's, it's going to be Jay Bowman coming on through for the WTRL Drafting Dinos UK D1. Big gap up to her there. Averaging 2.5. Interesting to see. So really throwing it down, I think, on the climbs and then keeping it steady in between. Able to grab the most time there. M. Hirjat, they're coming through for Zwift Scotland WD1 in 2nd. It's going to be Jake Hendu for the herd of King Penguins in 3rd. McDermott there for WTL Drafting Diamonds in 4th. E. Seth for Rave D Euro in 5th. H. Bayfield for WTL Drafting Dinos UK in 6th. It's going to be G. Gamino, the King Penguins. Wow, this is really like King Penguins, Drafting Dinos, I wonder who's going to win this one because it's back and forth for sure. Lots of stacks between similar teams at the top. R. Weiss there coming on through for 9th following A. King. And then it's going to be W. Richards there for the BRT Blazing Kittens. That's the situation for the Women's EMEA Division 1 Ds for the women's results in the final race, race number 8. On the men's side of things, for the A's in the EMEA North Division 1, there was a battle for Innovation Alien Resurrection. We're the top team, and it looks like they have stacked things at the top.
Wow.
Wow. They're just showing that they belong, I think, when it comes now, it'll be a question, though, when it comes to playoffs, how did the rest of the EMEA do, right? So they are a top team, a very, very top team. Those names, obviously, Barnsey, Vinton, they're all very well known. How did they go, though, against the rest of the EMEA is going to be the question. Take it away, Anna.
Yeah, so Feria there from Alien first. Clements there from Skylab. See another Skylab in 7th, but just not enough there, 2 in the top 10. Jay Barnes, I know him actually, Kiwi rider from Alien as well. 2 minutes 51 back, and then you got his 2 teammates, Wood and S. Vinton in 4th and 5th right behind him. Then with Fisher from Team CLS obviously got beaten in the sprint, as well as Deasov from Skylab in 7th. Lavoy there in 8th. Restart Up Nation with Van Rooten from BRT Thunder in 9th. And then an AHDR rider, Kate Crusaders in 10th. Nozaki from Japan.
And in the B category, this is what we watched today, and it was quite the battle between Zedsun and the Dirty Beast. They were tied at 129 at the top. To give you an idea, though, where is the rest of Zedsun? Because I'm seeing another Dirty Beast in this top 10. It's going to be interesting to see how it plays out here. Looking here, our Christian Dirty Beast Alligators just taking it out over D. Jones when he came over the top of the back end of Fox Hill across the line. Edmondson for RDB Flyers. They worked well together trying to take down Christian, but was unable to do so. It looks like he may have actually been playing with them more than them playing. He may have actually been playing them because he was sitting in following wheels, and they continued to attack, and maybe they wore themselves out, perhaps, trying to do the 1-2. Yeah. Sometimes that does happen. As we do have M. Roberts across in fifth for HDR Cheesecake Brigade. It's going to be M. Soiler for the Dirty Beast Alligators taking sixth. Bullock there for R3R Wasp in seventh. Jers in for the SW Hornets in eighth. Udine for HDR Cheesecake Brigade in ninth. And D. Oshie in 10th for the R3R Wasps.
Looking at C category, we have R. Vinny there from Team Electric Spirit.co Vespa. Quite a lead, actually, with S. Finati from Team Italy 3 in second. Close behind is D. Hewitson from VRT Development Fails. That's a weird name. Fourth, A. Kia from another Team Electric Spirit.co Vespa rider. Heard of Galloping Mavericks, great name. And fifth, S. Evans. M. Johnson from RAF Chinooks. A. Spencer in seventh from the RR Woolly Rhinos. Eighth was M. Kassan from RWB Green Dragons. Rowley is SWB Skeeters in ninth. And then rounding out top 10, S. Singleton from the BRT Coyotes.
And in the D category, it's going to be the herd of one-trick ponies. They're across the line, it looks like, followed up by P. Dowdle. I think that's all we've got so far for the Division 1 for the D category. This morning, it was like an hour and 40 minutes, I think, to get to the line here. So they've got a long day ahead of them. Keep on soldiering on, D category. You're making it happen. Well done to you. We might even be able to find them out on course here, but that'll take me a minute or two, so we're going to leave that alone. If you want to see some more results as well as how things played out for the season and information about the playoffs, you can head over to WTR.racing. Again, being told that the playoff info will be out by the end of the week. So be on the watch out for that as everybody finishes up on the day at the end of the week. Announcements will be made. The 5th and the 6th will be the days for the playoffs for a points race and a TTT. Head over to WTR.racing for more info on that as well. Anna, what's happening tonight? Are you helping out tonight for the Americas East as well? I mean, your whole Tuesday is just Tuesday and Wednesday for you. You just woke up on Wednesday in New Zealand, but it's just dominated by the Zwift Racing League as well as mine, obviously.
I call it yours is. I mean, you don't sleep for the whole week, but it's a couple of days of just.
No, I sleep for the whole week after Tuesday. I sleep after Tuesday, then I just sleep for the rest of the week.
Okay, that's the trick. Looks like our Prem girls just did well. We had one of the Saris riders come in second. That was Courtney Nelson, and then we've got the USA East team Riot, who, to be honest, I don't have to do much today. I said I might just dial in and chit chat to them. They're leading by a lot.
Talk about what they're wearing. Hey, are you wearing the right clothes today? Is it the Tron bike or not the Tron bike? You could just have that conversation. Maybe, Anna, maybe me and Dave will bring you in for a long discussion during these long climbs about what is going on with the Tron bike, the Fashion Police. We'll just have a lot of fun with it for our final go. If you want to check that out, if you want some more, Zwift Community Live race coverage, as well as maybe bringing in a little bit of the team car there from the Stars Pros Closet. Sorry, not Stars Pros Closet.
Team Riot.
You've got Team Riot. You've changed your name. Excuse me. Sorry about that. But the little bit of a shift over. But, it'll be interesting to watch your team tonight because definitely got some climbers there as well as some sprinters and maybe some all-ins. So we'll see if we can jump in with the ladies there for a little while. But Anna, thanks a lot. It's been absolutely great having you on for all of the most of the EMEAs here that you could make. And we'll see you everybody later tonight. Make sure to jump in for America's East, America's Est. I'm going to be on with Dave in just a few hours, and then Kate and Dave will be on later tonight. As always, if you're looking for more, wtrail.racing, hit those subscribe and follow buttons, and we'll see you a little later. Right on.